Yep. Hey guys, it's me again, and today I have a special guest with me. He's a DN admin. His name is.
Sarai, thank you, Orange Gadget. This is Sarai here. I am one of the newer DN admins, and I would like to talk to you today about PSCT, which stands for Problem Solving Card Text. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck is this, and why should I even care? Well, first of all, Problem Solving Card Text is used on basically all cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! These days. If it's been reprinted these days, it has Problem Solving Card Text. And all Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards are in this way now. If it's new, it has that text. Second, the text itself is a ruling. Basically, judges look to this first when you're trying to decide on a ruling.
I got a question.
Yes.
Do vanilla monsters have PSCT on them?
They have flavor text. Technically, no. But that's the only real exception. Like, if any card effect is written in problem-solving card text. The only exception to this is vanilla monsters flavor text.
You said everything that's reprinted has PSCT, and so.
Well, I mean, vanilla monsters aren't typically reprinted, but you get my point. Anything that's going to be relevant to the game, basically, will have this text.
Yep. All right.
So I guess I'll start with chains and stuff. Chains basically are very important because, I mean, how can you tell if a card uses the chain? How can you tell what's the cost, what's the effect? Well, it's simple, actually, now with problem-solving card text. See, if a card uses a colon or a semicolon in its effect text, that effect uses the chain. If it doesn't have that text, it does not use the chain. An example would be, let's say, Megalo. You discard 2, semicolon, special summon it. And that semicolon is the cost. Like, whatever comes before the semicolon is the cost. Whatever comes after the semicolon regarding that same effect is the effect. And if it has no semicolon or colon, it does not use the chain. It's either a continuous effect or a condition.
Can start like a chain.
A summoning condition without like Megalo, for example, that's a trigger summon, meaning it does start a chain.
No, like
But if you mean like Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord, or something along those lines,
Yep.
It uses like the parentheses from your hand, from your graveyard, like Machina Fortress, for example. You can special summon this card parentheses from your hand or your graveyard. It doesn't have a colon or semicolon. That's that. Moving on.
Yeah.
All right.
So not all summoning conditions have a chain.
You can respond to the summon. The summon is never on a chain link. That's why you're able to chain like 2 bottomless trapple to each other, bottomless trapple right 2. Like, for example, let's say it goes like Lance. Let's say you play bottomless trapple on the response to someone, they chain Lance. You are legally allowed to chain bottomless trapple if it is a 2 or more.
Okay. I get it.
The summon isn't a chain link. Very important to know that.
Summoning.
Like, it specifically mentions if when a monster will be special summoned, only stops inherent special summons, otherwise known as summons that do not start a chain. Like Ryo, Judgment, Logia. There's reasons why.
So Ryo can't negate anything that starts a chain.
It does not start a chain. Ryo cannot stop Gores. Negate that.
But
if you summon a Gores under Ryo, Gores starts a chain. So Ryo cannot negate that.
like, let's say if you summon a what's a good thing to summon? Like, let's say Dragon Ruler.
Any Dragon Ruler who its effect?
Yeah.
That's also a trigger summon, like in its effect.
Yeah, but if you summon with Redox, like the second effect of Redox.
Oh, the effect of pitch 2 Earths and summon a monster from your graveyard? That one?
Yeah.
That is also a trigger effect. Like, that's the same thing like Monster Reborn versus Ryo. You can't do that.
Okay.
But, however, if you want to stop an effect that starts a chain, you have to negate the effect itself. So that's why Dark Bribe can stop Monster Reborn, and that's why Solemn Warning can stop things that summon, basically anything that special summons.
Yeah.
You get my point? There's a difference between Ryo and warning and judgment and stuff like that. Finally,
Okay.
any questions on that?
Nope. So, Madolche, the Queen Tiramisu does not target.
Tiramisu does not target, you are correct. Yeah. However, anything that says target on it does target the 2 monsters in the graveyard. The rulings for this, you can't call me out on this, but I'm pretty sure that Tiramisu does not, it still goes through under Crow. I'll look that up real quick, actually. Let me just look that up.
Is this how you solve ruling issues on DN?
If you're not sure about it, you look up the ruling yourself. Yeah. It's the only real way to do it if you're not.
So it won't. You still get to shuffle back your opponent's cards.
That's correct. You get to shuffle the cards. You get to shuffle 1 card because you return 1 card. All right, now then, here's some just basic timing rulings. Like the way when A and B happen, it doesn't. If assuming that A and B just happened alone. Be done, you still get to do A. Just an important thing to note. Like, one way it says you can't do it. If A can't be done, you can't do B. But if you can do A, if you can do A and you can't do B, you can still do A. Next is the do A then do B type wording. B happens right after A, meaning it can miss timing. Things can miss timing, like A can miss timing. Something that would happen when you did A can miss timing. Second thing to note is if A can't be. Second thing to note, another thing to note, the do A also do B. This is unlike Black Garden. This is very important. Since it says
half the
also
attack
do B,
and summon the token.
Yeah, exactly. It says have his attack also summon a Rose token. Since the ruling for this states that if you have the attack and you can summon the token, you still have the attack.
Okay.
Likewise, if the attack would be halved and if the attack couldn't be halved, you can still summon a token. As long as the condition has been met, you can do.
You can't change the attack.
For example, if you bottomless their card before Black Garden could resolve.
Yeah.
If that were the case, the monster is no longer field, so you can't have the attack. You still got to summon the token, though.
Okay, so that doesn't mean that, if you miss A, you can't do B. If it's an also.
If you miss one, you can do the other under that kind of text.
If it's also.
If it's do A, also do B, you can do one and not do the other.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how it worked out. If you can do one, you can do one. You can do both, you can do both. Now, do A and do B. This is like do A and if you do B, only difference is it works both ways. Like if A or B can't be done, neither can be done. So that's important to note. And that pretty much wraps up everything on problem-solving card checks that I can find here. Do you have any further questions?
Yeah. Effect Veiler versus Lightsworn Milling.
That's actually a different mechanic entirely. That's the end phase. If you Veiler a Lightsworn monster before the end phase, the Lightsworn monster will not get to mill.
Why?
Because by end phase mechanics, there's a certain order on which things resolve. It starts when things activate and resolve, and none of this goes on the chain, by the way. First, simultaneous effects go on chain does not apply to end phase mechanics, first of all. Second, when your Lightsworn monster is Veilered, it goes to the end phase, right?
Yeah.
The Lightsworn monster would have to activate first, because you're the turn player.
Okay.
Since it's a mandatory effect, you have to play it before Veiler will resolve. Then Veiler would negate it, right? Because Veiler is active. And then your opponent would have to end Veiler's effect. Long story short, you can mill.
Okay, how about Yamato versus Veiler?
Yamato Let me look that up. In motto.
No, Yamato.
Yamato?
Yeah.
Ujin Yamato?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different story entirely. So any of the optional effects had a chance to be played, all the mandatory effects have to leave the effect. Have to resolve their effects. Meaning, Valor will resolve first, then the turn player, the controller of Yamato, would be allowed to choose whether or not to activate Yamato's effect. And regardless of whether he does or not, Yamato will get effect. If he chose to activate it. Like, regardless of when he played Valor, they got nerfed by Valor, I guess Mugen didn't.
Yeah. I mean, like... Yeah.
Alright, so thank you for watching this wonderful, informative segment on problem-solving card text.
So I'm just gonna run down everything. Colon or semicolon starts a chain.
Colon or semicolon starts a chain, yes.
Everything before a semicolon is a cost.
In that, yeah, if an effect has a semicolon, anything before the semicolon in that effect is a cost. Anything after the semicolon in that effect is the actual effect that comes to resolution.
Okay, so, also costs are the things that you have to pay in order to activate the effect, right?
Yes, obviously, you have to pay that activation.
So you don't get it back, it's example, if they fiendish chain.
That's correct.
No colon or semicolon equals no chain.
If it doesn't have a semicolon or a colon, it doesn't use the chain at all.
So, like, let's say Royal start a chain.
Royal Decree, well, the thing is, all trap cards start a chain. Trap cards and spell cards all start a chain. The difference there is, like, once they're activated, they do not apply, their effects do not begin to apply until they resolve.
What kind of spells and traps are special?
Continuous spells and traps, and some forms of equipped spells.
Okay, so if it's a continuous trap, it doesn't apply.
Like Royal Decree, they can chain Dust Tornado to that. It will not be negated by a decree under that specific skill of the Bandit. Same thing. 7 Tools of the Bandit resolves backwards, negating my trap stun. Then your Space Hero resolve is normal.
Oh, I meant like it's something that's not a counter trap, like yeah.
Quote unquote negated. It isn't actually negated.
It just doesn't resolve.
Apply.
Haven't told us about timestamp yet.
Well, I mean, I just call it that because I play Magic too, but.
Oh, you play Magic.
But I just call it timestamp because basically, like, continuous effects, like, what happens is, like, the first continuous effect that was on the field will apply before the second one. In the case of Jinzo versus Emist, in the case of Jinzo versus Skill Drain. Now, like, there could be other rulings out there that I don't know of that could change that. It just depends on a card-for-card basis sometimes. And actually one of the reasons Konami introduced problem-solving card text was to help eliminate the because Konami said so rulings.
Okay.
Basically, there were rulings that were made just because Konami said so with no real explanation why.
Okay.
Next up is the special summons.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, Divine Wrath will stop effects that started will stop summons that started chain if they're like, for example, which are. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. If just one more thing on the targeting, if there are 2 targets, if a card targets more than one card, if it uses targets before it resolves and after it resolves, like at the effect, if it uses the word targets after the semicolon, all the conditions at the beginning have to stay the same for it to resolve correctly. That's why if you like Mermail, if you like Atlantean Marksman, my set Fiendish Chain, and I chain that Fiendish Chain targeting something,
it's not set anymore.
It's not set anymore, so it works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's kind of unfair as well, but...
It's true, but it's a ruling, and therefore you have to know it. It's just something you have to know. Wouldn't say it's really unfair if you know how to play.
Yeah.
Now, and finally, there's these random timing rulings: the do A and if you do B, and if you do B.
Basically, if it's also, if one doesn't work, you can still use the other one, and if it's end, If
if it's do A also do B, if one doesn't work, the other one can work. If it's do A and if you do B, if A can't be done, B isn't done. But if A is still done, if A can be done and B can't be done,
A is still done. Yeah.
Then there's the do A then do B. That means that the A can miss timing if B occurs. Same timing, same basic, like if one can't be done, the other one can. That's the same type of time. That one just means A and B happen simultaneously.
What?
Do A and do B. That just means if A and B happen simultaneously, and if one of A and B cannot be done, the other isn't done. Now we're done.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry if it took this took a long time, but it's very important to understand the rulings. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, bye. And this is I would like to say thank you to you for taking the time to. I think you only had the time because DN is it down? Viewers, something really quick.
Certainly, take your time.
You want to see it as well?
Sure.
I recently got into making orcas. And I made my first orca. Right here. I'm making a picture, what do you call this? Like, gadget deck, and I call it Steampunk Gadgets.
You're making a Korean archetype?
No. Steampunk Gadgets. You know what steampunk is?
Yep.
Yeah, it's basically making the gadget cards. What I've been up to lately. Sorry if I've not been posting videos, but I want to finish this first before I show all of this to you guys.
You're basically rewriting, re-imaging all the cards that search things.
What?
You're like re-illustrating all the cards that search things.
Yep.
Fun. That sounds really awesome.
So, what do you think?
I think it's pretty cool, and if you want to take this to my thread, the Create an Archetype thread, which is recently booming, it would be pretty cool. Like, I'm also, my latest endeavor is quite simple.
This is gonna be This is gonna be Kage to Kage.
That's a nice pick.
This is gonna be this is Masked Chameleon. I'm not sure with that yet. This is gonna be 10 goldfish.
10 goldfish.
This is gonna be Redox.
Redox, yep.